and welcome to Business Day right here on ET Now. I'm Avan Dabash. Let's check as to how the markets panned out today. Well, you did witness a good recovery in the equity markets by the day's close, largely on comments by the oil minister, and that really spurred the rally. It was an even market breadth and you had quite a bit of hefty volumes by the time we shut shop. So for the Nifty, you had it higher by close to 37 points. 6,039 is where we closed, and for the Sensex, 146 points higher at 19,964. We get you all the top stories after the headlines. Diesel prices will start going up soon. The government gives oil marketing companies freedom for marginal price hikes, and Oil Minister Veerappa Moily says that the move is aimed at cutting the huge subsidy bill, even as Finance Minister P. Chidambaram says that there may not be any impact on the government finances immediately. Oil stocks on fire after the government allows them to adjust diesel prices. IOC surges 7% and BPCL and HPCL make smart gains. Reliance Industries jumps over 3% after the company says they will consider expanding the fuel retail network. A big blow for diesel car makers like M&M and Tata Motors and even Maruti. The chairman of India's largest car maker tells ET Now that there will be a bounce back in the demand for petrol cars, and auto companies, however, say that this is a much better option than additional duty on diesel cars. CDMA spectrum will come at half the price of the original price that had been put. The government cuts the spectrum prices by 50%, and the nationwide license will now cost 9,100 crore rupees. The Highways Authority snubs infrastructure majors GVK and GMR for pulling out from road projects. Says it's not the clearances but the internal issues of the companies that have forced them to get out of contracts. Those were the top stories, but of course let's take it to the big news that came out today, and finally the government has bitten the deregulation bullet. Diesel prices have been partially deregulated, which means state-owned oil marketing companies like IOC, BPCL and HPCL will be allowed to periodically hike or revise the prices of diesel. Oil Minister Veerappa Moily says that the hike can take place as early as tonight. Currently, the government subsidy outgo is about 94,000 crore rupees per year. The government has also hiked the cap on subsidized LPG cylinders to 9 from an earlier 6.
I am very happy to say that the CCPA today considered the issue of raising the cap from 6 to 9. And 6 to 9, and the CCPA has approved the proposal to raise the cap from 6 cylinders to 9 cylinders. There was a decision earlier for deregulating diesel. Right. And in pursuance to that, they have been authorized, the OMCs have been authorized to make the price corrections from time to time.
Finance Minister P. Chidambaram doesn't see these periodic hikes impacting the government subsidy bill immediately for this year. Let's hear him out.
The oil companies have been allowed to make small corrections from time to time. Emphasize the word small corrections from time to time. That, I believe, the Petroleum Ministry has allowed the oil company. I'm proceeding on the basis that the subsidy bill remains the same. When they will make the small corrections, how much I can't say. So I'm not factoring it. But they've been given the freedom to make small corrections.
This means that the stage is set for oil marketing companies to now go ahead and hike the prices of diesel. But just how soon should we expect our fuel bills to go up? Nitya Balakrishnan joins in for more on that. Nitya, we believe that the OMCs are meeting to take a call on hiking prices. What are you picking up in terms of a time frame as to when we can see the same?
Well, it's a complete googly of sorts by the cabinet here earlier today. Now, the cabinet has decided that it will let oil marketing companies take an independent call to actually go ahead and hike prices of diesel in small amounts over a period of time by 2014 in order to bring it in line with international market rates. That is the call taken by the cabinet. The oil minister categorically indicating that companies like IOC, HPCL and BPCL will have to take a call and in small quantities actually hike the prices of diesel going going ahead. But given the fact that this indicates a partial deregulation of diesel, something that nobody was expecting at this point in time, it remains to be seen, because remember, diesel is a very sensitive decision when it comes to hiking of prices. 9 rupees 60 paise is what oil marketing companies are losing today per litre of diesel. 94,000 crore rupees is the estimated under-recoveries on diesel alone for this fiscal. And given the political sensitivity of this matter, will oil marketing companies actually be able to go ahead and hike diesel prices in regular intervals? Or will this once again be very similar to petrol, and it will be an entire political consensus that is needed before actually oil marketing companies exercise this decision? That remains to be seen. But clearly what the government has decided is they can't garner political consensus on this front, which is why the path is being passed on to oil marketing companies at the moment. OMC representatives will meet with the oil ministry later today. But what we're picking up is that it's now up to the OMCs. They can decide to go ahead and actually hike prices marginally by effective midnight. But given the fact that the Congress group will be having a Chintan in Jaipur for the next 3 days, government sources at the same time cautioning that that could probably not be the best time if oil marketing companies go ahead and decide to do this today. Remains to be seen what the quantum is, but definitely big news coming here from the oil ministry and the cabinet in terms of partial deregulation of diesel, or so it seems.
Okay, thanks very much, Nitya, for putting that into perspective. And as expected, the oil marketing companies' stocks were on fire today after the government gave them the free hand to periodically adjust the prices. Take a look at IOC for one. That notched up a good 7%. You had HPCL and BPCL, which all ended the day firmly in the green. Let's get an Ajay Sharma, who now joins in with more details for the ramifications on what this means for companies such as this. Ajay.
Well, in sort of a quite surprising move, the government did touch upon the contentious issue of diesel prices. It did not go ahead and hike or announced any price hike, but actually gave the power or authority to correct diesel prices periodically to the oil marketing companies. It is being seen as a move towards deregulation of diesel and hence being called partial deregulation, and that was captured in the stock prices of oil marketing company. HPCL was the biggest beneficiary of any such deregulation and hence saw the biggest jump, followed by a 5% jump in ONGC. IOC was the third one, and the last one, BPCL, which also has a crude oil play to it and hence reacted least. However, towards the end of the session, we saw these stock prices getting cooled because people realized, or the market men realized, that it will be a small hike which will come first, so 50-60 paisa or about a rupee at max, and full deregulation is still a very far call. Hence the reaction in the stock market had almost priced in, but it was a big positive for the market itself, and the market also closed at day's high. Market participants say that this will go down well as a sentiment booster for the market.
Okay, so sentiment booster for the equity markets. But when we spoke to some of the auto companies, particularly Maruti, the chairman of the company, R.C. Bhargav, expects to see a number of diesel price hikes and saying that there will be a bounce back in the demand for petrol cars.
What this does mean is that there will be small increases in diesel prices made by the OMCs. We don't know with what frequency they'll be allowed to make these increases, but I would suspect that over the next few months, one should see a number of price increases of diesel. As far as Maruti is concerned, I think we will be selling all the diesel cars that we can. It may help us in the petrol demand going up gradually as the gap between petrol and diesel narrows.
Meanwhile, Anand Mahindra welcomed the move on Twitter, saying that if the minister's statement regarding oil companies' flexibility to tweak diesel prices is the first step to petrol decontrol, then it's a bold and overdue step. Experts, meanwhile, believe that the gradual hike in prices will wipe out the diesel subsidy by the end of the year, and that this is a welcome move as the under-recoveries are currently at unmanageable levels.
It is now with the oil marketing companies the decision would rest, and the government would says we have nothing to do with it. This is done by the oil marketing companies, and the oil marketing companies will be raising this maybe 1 rupee, 2 rupee periodically, so that the subsidy is wiped out hopefully by the end of the year from diesel. Petrol prices were deregulated earlier, and yet the companies always got some kind of guidance, not officially but guidance from the ministry, which they followed. This is my guess that this is what it means, what the government has done.
The under recovery, the level they have gone, it's unmanageable. The oil companies, they can't survive at these levels. There have been twice decisions at the cabinet level that these oil marketing companies, they are authorized, they are free to raise the prices. So there's no question of any caveat. So this is only reiterating the earlier decision of the cabinet. And now the companies, they will probably have better freedom comparatively to adjust the prices. The very fact it has been asked the companies to take a decision. So the message coming out is let it not be a political decision, let it be economic decision, and let the economic decision be best taken by the companies who are actually suffering.
Okay, you've got important numbers coming in on your screen. Hero MotoCorp has declared its Q3 numbers for 88 crore rupees is what they have clocked in terms of the profits, and this is coming in below what the street was expecting. Remember, the ET Now poll had already factored in this time around that on account of a decline in volumes, there would be a decline in the overall profitability by close to 3%, and still we had pegged in a figure of 595 crore rupees, and this has come in substantially lower than that, vis-a-vis a figure of 613 crores on a year-on-year basis. What have they clocked in terms of their top line? Well, 6,150 crore rupees. So on that account too, it has been a bit of a disappointment, given that we were working with a figure of 6,155 crore rupees. Now, this figure is coming in versus 6,031 crores on a year-on-year basis. We were expecting that the better sales mix this time around, as well as the favorable Japanese USD movement, would have boosted the margins. But let's go across to Virappa Moily in conversation with Supriya Srinath.
No, I have not asked you to be. No. Then why do you wait?
So we just wanted to understand what is the decision that has been made, sir? There seems to be plenty of...
Hello, Arsha.
Yes. What is the decision that has been made, sir? There seems to be a lot of confusion.
No confusion. Very clear.
What is the decision?
It was six cylinder, which was...
We're talking about the diesel price.
No, you asked me first. Yes, you have asked me and I will answer you. You know, the ceiling was put as 6.
That's right. That
as on 14th September. Now, you know, that has been raised to 9. And, you know, that means to say, from after September till March, it will be 5 plus.
Right.
Then, you know, thereafter, it will be annually 9 cylinders.
What about diesel prices? Has that been deregulated?
No. You know, I don't know this language of deregulation or regulation.
What is the decision, sir?
Decision is that, you know, the CMCs, that is the oil marketing societies, have been authorized to have a small correction in the prices of the diesel in the days to come. That means at an appropriate time.
Will these corrections be regular corrections made, say, every fortnight?
No, that is left to the marketing committee. We are not into it.
That's
the only answer.
What kind of a price rise will we look at in diesel?
No, you must. It is better you ask the CMDs or the. We have authorized them to, you know, make small increase or correction in the prices of the diesel.
But sir, that means oil marketing companies have the freedom to do so.
Yeah,
correct. They can adjust petrol prices.
Correct.
Which is why we are asking.
I have not told you that adjust petrol prices. I said diesel prices.
Okay, sir. But will the government...
Small correction in prices of the diesel.
Will the government continue to bear the burden on diesel under recoveries that remain?
Yeah. Very much.
But sir, then what kind of a freedom is this? You are asking them to make a very small hike.
That is the kind of
under recovery is very high, sir.
That is the kind of freedom we are given.
But sir, the under recovery is still very high. The under recovery is about 90%.
That is why looking into consideration of the under recovery only we have taken them. Okay.
But sir, will they have to come back to the government every time they hike prices?
No. They need not come back to the government. You know, that is why we have allowed them to do. Okay.
Will you expect private companies to enter the sector now that prices can be decided by oil marketing companies?
That is left to the, we don't want to discourage the private companies.
So the markets are very excited. They believe this is almost giving oil marketing companies freedom. This is almost diesel deregulation. The markets are very excited about
But
it.
at the same time, it is not at the cost of the common man, not at the cost of the...
Is there a buy-in of the Congress party on this issue? Has there been a discussion in the Congress party on this? I know the Chintan will start tomorrow. The timing of this decision has taken...
and reflected on this. This decision is taken after the due consideration and deep discussion.
Sir, because there is a lot of confusion on the timing of this decision. Many people believe the Chintan Shivir starts tomorrow and this decision may have been taken only after
maybe
that.
sometime, it coincides some timing. But, we have been discussing this since very long time. Even Vijay Telkar had given a report on this matter.
So the parties buy in on this decision, sir?
Definitely, the party, we expect the party to be with us.
And why have you not decided to touch LPG and kerosene prices? That is also
kerosene we have not touched. LPG prices we have not touched.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
Okay, that is Virappa, Moily Oil Minister, speaking exclusively to Supriya Srinath. A lot of clarity is really required on that, and I think he put a few things into perspective. He clarified that this time around the decision has been given to the CMC, authorized to have a small correction in prices of diesel in times to come. He clarified that there's been no tinkering when it comes to LPG prices this time around. And that they will have the freedom to raise the diesel prices, but that the government will continue to bear the subsidy burden. Remember, we just pointed out that the subsidy outgo currently for the government is 94,000 crores per year. A little bit of ambiguity in terms of the time frame, but that's a clarification coming from the oil minister to ET now on the back of that revision in diesel prices. But meantime, the opposition is already up in arms on the back of this partial deregulation. The CPIM General Secretary Prakash Karath says that this is another attack on the common man.
एक और हमला है ये जनता पर। जैसे पेट्रोल का डीकंट्रोल हुआ, डीजल का डीकंट्रोल होने का मतलब है कि लगातार डीजल का दाम बढ़ते जाएगा आगे।
Meanwhile, the government has finally taken the decision to raise the cap on the subsidized LPG cylinders from 6 to 9, as just pointed out by the oil minister. And this comes as a major relief to consumers because there's no hike in the LPG prices, as was suggested by the finance ministry panel. Political reactions coming in thick and fast. The opposition says that this decision was long overdue and that the cap should have in fact been raised to 12.
Tough international situation. It is always a very difficult balancing act when you have to balance the twin imperatives of revenue generation. As a responsible government which keeps the revenue imperatives of the nation in mind, this is a tough balancing act which you do, and I think in this particular instance the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas would have applied itself very, very diligently before they arrived at certain conclusions.
And it's win some, lose some for automakers on the back of this decision. Now, while this diesel price hike could impact the fortunes of the likes of M&M and Tata Motors, this comes as a big relief to them, as now a higher duty on diesel cars has completely been ruled out. Kartika Trehan now joins in for more. Kartika, glass half full or glass half empty?
Well, absolutely. The diesel deregulation is definitely going to impact most of the oil companies, overall also the auto companies over here. This is largely because the main impact could be on M&M and Tata Motors because their portfolio in diesel vehicles is much larger than any other companies. Maruti also could marginally see this kind of impact overall. Now, right now, the situation was such that there was 60% contribution towards the diesel vehicles and 40% somewhere to the petrol cars at this point in time. But that could possibly see some kind of a relief because petrol cars could now possibly see some kind of a demand push, and you could expect the sales uptake in the overall petrol cars, whereas the diesel demand could possibly slow down. We are seeing a situation, the overall auto companies are seeing some amount of a slowdown, and they were pinning hopes on the overall diesel prices and the diesel cars to possibly go up. However, this at this point in time comes as a huge blow to the companies like M&M because they have not prepared much with their petrol portfolio. However, the diesel portfolio could see a huge impact. But one thing definitely gets to need to be brought into notice is the fact that how the overall tax on diesel cars could possibly now look like it could be ruled out completely, because that's something in the budget we were expecting, that there could be a diesel taxation on diesel vehicles which could come as a further blow. So that portion could possibly be ruled out, but however on the petrol version we could definitely see some amount of demand push. Maruti could definitely seem to benefit out of this.
Straight to the telecom space, and the e-commerce spectrum has decided to slash CDMA prices by 50%. This came in as a fairly expected move. Remember, there was a decision to slash the prices by close to 30 to 50% just a short while ago. You had the likes of Reliance Communications and Tata Tele, which spurted very smartly on the back of that news. And now this means that the CDMA prices are revised to 9,100 crore rupees for the pan-India spectrum. Let's get in Gauri Dwivedi, who now joins in with more details. Gauri.
The Union Cabinet has drastically reduced CDMA prices. It has cut CDMA prices by as much as 50%. And now the pan-India CDMA spectrum costs 9,100 crore. That's the reserve price for the CDMA auctions that will begin in March 2013. Remains to be seen whether or not there will be any takers even at these prices or not. The backdrop of this decision is the fact that there was no CDMA auction in November 2012. Both bidders withdrew, and there is a sense that CDMA is a dying technology and the government needs to support it by drastically reducing prices. But even at these prices, OSPI, that is the CDMA lobby, is not happy. It feels that the prices should actually have been reduced by 75%. But it's important to note that the ministerial panel had sent two recommendations, whether the prices should be reduced by 30% or should there be as much as a 50% drastic cut in CDMA prices. And of course now the cabinet has gone in favor of the latter. The reserve price for CDMA auctions CDMA spectrum will be 9,100 crore. Remains to be seen whether this time around there will be a successful CDMA auction or not.
The market will tell us. How do I know what the market is going to do?
The last time around said that the GSM auction did not have too much.
So the market told us.
So do you, how much do you expect to garner?
The market will tell us.
Kapil Sibal, they're not divulging too many details, but in terms of earnings today, HCL Technologies joined the IT party as they beat street estimates with a 68.4% jump in their quarterly profit. The stock surged to the highest level seen in 12 years after a strong financial performance in the quarter. The company also has appointed Anand Gupta as the new CEO, as Vineet Nair now moves to a non-executive role. Tempered off from the day's close, but yet firmly in the green for HCL Technologies. As you can see, it's 7:04. But with that, we're completely timed out right here on Business Day. Thanks so much for watching. For more news and updates, keep it with ET Now.